But if we look at the P&L of the restaurants, what they used to do before us and what they do after us, every restaurant's business increases.
How many women riders do you have actively today?
We have in Karachi, we have in Sheikhupura, we have in
Sheikhupura, all the places.
Yeah. कहते हम जाते हैं तो राइडर्स हट जाते हैं कि आप आके पहले अपना ऑर्डर ले लें. I was like, yeah, that's brilliant. But there are obviously some that are not that good. There are some customers where there are challenges. We've had a rider that was shot by someone's guard.
Shot?
Yeah, in the leg by someone's guard.
Why?
Because the rider was
food
waiting
wasn't hot
outside.
enough.
The food was delivered. He was waiting for the change to come out. He sort of followed up a couple of times, and the guard got mad कि आ जाएगा पैसा or something like that, and then poor guy got shot.
Hello and welcome everyone to Digitales. My name is Faizan Sayyed, founder and CEO of East River. और आज मेरे साथ बैठे हुए हैं एक बहुत बड़े ब्रांड के CEO, फूड पैंडा. सभी ने सुना होगा नाम, आपने probably इस वीक ऑर्डर भी किया होगा वहाँ से. उसके CEO Muntaqa Peracha मेरे सामने बैठे हुए हैं to discuss everything Food Panda. How are you, Muntaqa?
I'm doing very well, Fazan. Thank you.
Thank you. So you are now running a platform, taking decisions on a platform that practically every household in the urban and rural centers have started to use on almost a weekly basis, you would say, right?
Yes.
How does it feel to be in control of something so prevalent in society?
I think it's quite humbling, to be honest. Run into so many people who, while they have really good words about what we're doing, at the same time they have a lot of suggestions on how to improve. Then every day आप road पे जा रहे हो, you see a rider. Half the time when I see a rider, I pause a little bit and see कि यार कैसे बाइक चला रहा है,
Right.
सिग्नल तो नहीं तोड़ रहा ज़्यादा, बहुत aggressive तो नहीं है, because that's something that we're trying to build into the ecosystem.
Right.
So it's a good challenging direct to consumer business is very challenging.
It is.
I think it's very exciting. So it's good.
And इसमें you touched on the rider पे बहुत हमें सुनने को मिलता है, अब socially भी कुछ ना कुछ लोग riders की बड़ी discussion कर रहे होते हैं. और food panda riders इतने prevalent हैं कि हर जगह वो pink jacket नज़र आ रहा होता है शहर में, हर शहर में नज़र आ रहा होता है अब तो बल्कि. Riders के हवाले से एक सवाल जो मैंने काफ़ी सुना है, right? And I thought I'll kick it off with this really tough question. Is that the Food Panda riders, in addition to doing food deliveries, are doing deliveries of drugs, alcohol, narcotics, all sorts of things that should not be delivered क्योंकि Food Panda rider को तो वैसे कोई रोकेगा नहीं क्योंकि वो तो खाना डिलीवर कर रहा है. ये perception क्यों build हुआ है और इसको काउंटर करने में क्या किया जा सकता है?
So, to be honest, this sort of perception has not really creeped into our organization in terms of, obviously we keep our, the check on what's going on about
Right.
Food Panda, who's saying what's being written. What has historically happened is, because there are so many riders that have worked with us, we've had around 150 to 175,000 riders that have registered with us on the platform over the past 4-5 years. So a lot of them have left the platform as well, which means that they're sitting at home or they're doing some other job. So एक आध incident बहुत पहले, this is actually right around the time I joined Food Panda, which was 4 years ago. एक आध हुआ था, and उसके बाद से there's not been any sort of an incident at all. There's a very simple check that we do, right? Every rider that comes on the platform goes through an official background check from the police. So provincial police के साथ हमारी बड़ी अच्छी coordination है in all provinces. We send the rider information to them. They verify that there is no case on this individual. It's clean, and then we onboard the rider. हम उसके लिए हमारे लिए ज़रा challenging हो जाता है because it takes a little bit of time from the registration to actual activation of the rider. But that's not a risk we are willing to take. So that's how we sort of make sure that the riders that come on the platform, they are genuine riders that are here to work.
So each rider is vetted.
Yes, each rider.
And each rider that you have officially is someone who has no police history.
No police history, has a license, at least a learner's license. उसके बगैर हम onboard नहीं करते.
Right.
And then that has to convert into obviously a regular license as well.
Right.
They all have their own bikes. They all have a smartphone.
Right.
And they all are vetted with the police.
एक और चीज़ मैंने, and this is I saw it with my own eyes, so they just came to me. I was driving by this one place where in Karachi, they've got these wine shops that they sell, local beer to minorities and all. And I was driving by, and I suddenly saw a congregation of Food Panda riders, and this was some time ago. And I was like, this is weird. Maybe there's a depot there. So I drove by, I think I went to a friend's place. I said, yeah, there was a whole congregation of these Food Panda riders there. इनका कोई depot वगैरह यहाँ पे? They're like, no, that's a wine shop. I live close by. Their friend said. और ये यहाँ शाम में आके अपने टिप्स यहाँ स्पेंड करते हैं और फिर they go back out to circulate. मैंने कहा really? Is that even? They're like, yeah, वो आते हैं 100-200 रुपए टिप मिलते हैं, वो गए उन्होंने कुछ खरीदा, अपना इवनिंग एंजॉय किया और फिर निकल आए. मैंने कहा अच्छा, how there's so many things that can happen. It's 150,000 people across Pakistan. How do you create systems and process to prevent such things from happening? Is it hard? Because it's got to be the hardest thing to do.
So to be honest, it is a challenge. So we have a decent amount of ethnicities, religions, castes within our rider sort of base. Karachi obviously is more because Karachi generally is more cosmopolitan than the rest of the country. So obviously, if anyone is, everyone is, they can buy and use whatever they want to. But what we try to ensure is कि आप rider को ऐसे incentivize करें that they don't waste their time on anything else while they are working. Post shift and pre-shift, they can do whatever they want to.
Exactly.
So the incentives work in a way where if a rider takes a break for longer than 15, 20, 30 minutes, एक तो genuine break होती है, obviously, someone is praying, someone has to go use the washroom or whatever, or it's too hot, they want to sit in the shade for a little bit. 15, 20 minutes break they do take. But if they take a longer break, 30, 40, 45 minutes, it negatively impacts their earnings because इसका मतलब है वो एक order definitely उस time पे that they could have delivered, they're not delivering. And then the number of orders they deliver plus the number of orders they accept, कितनी देर में accept करते हैं, how far they travel, all of that combined forms their bonus for the weekend and for the weekday. So different उसकी configurations हैं. So they're all incentivized in a way that they don't waste time.
Right.
Apart from the genuine breaks.
And these incentives are paid out on a weekly, monthly, daily?
So they're paid out on a weekly basis. Right. It's all available on the Riders app.
Right.
आप टिप करें वो उसको नजर आती है कितनी टिप है मेरी. So if you prepay and you pre-tip, it's visible to them. Every week they get their payouts and that's how they operate.
And so on average, a good rider कितना कमा लेता है इस app के through?
So if you work 8 hours a day,
8 hours a day,
and 6 days a week, if you do, because generally this socioeconomic class works 6 days, and they're used to that. So 48 hours a week, you can earn between 45 to 48,000 just on what you get from Food Panda in a month. Then you have tips on top, which roughly average around, depending on which zone you are in, आप DHA में हैं या इस्लामाबाद में हैं या क्वेटा में हैं, कहाँ पे हैं, वो वेरी करती है, but it averages around 500 a day sort of for these riders. So that's on top. जिसकी visibility obviously we don't have unless you pre-tip on the platform. ये हमें riders अपने उससे बताते हैं in our service कि जी हमें 4-5-6 हज़ार रुपये टिप मिल जाती है.
तो तकरीबन 10,000 रुपये ऊपर से ये टिप्स के थ्रू मिल जाती है.
I would say that their fuel expense comes out from the tips essentially. वो offset हो जाता है. The maintenance of the bikes and everything else, that they need to cater for within the 45 to 48,000 that they earn. But this is the average rider, right? 8 hours. There are riders that work between 10 to 12 hours a day. That's the ones that are sort of full-time working with us.
Right.
They earn around 20,000, 25,000 a week. That's their earnings. So वो 6 digits में ले जाते हैं. And they're willing to put in the hours and we don't stop them. One thing we are trying to do is sort of not get the riders to focus कि यार आप 14-15 घंटे भी अगर काम कर रहे हैं, you cannot do it every day.
Yeah.
And it's not good for your health.
Yeah.
So reduce that, and we are figuring out ways to give them that money because they're working 12 hours a day, for example.
Right.
कि उनकी earning ना lose हो. So we're trying to, we've done some changes, so hopefully that will help because 14, 15, 16 hours is just inhumane.
It's absolutely not, long term at all.
It's not. And it's not something we promote either. I mean, the rider is, they can choose their hours, they can choose their days, they can choose the zone they want to work in. If they want to work today in PCHS, tomorrow in North Nazimabad, it's up to them. They can always go and pick up a shift and work wherever.
Health benefits, medical benefits, वो सब देते हैं riders को.
So we have, there's a medical coverage, there's a personal accident insurance as well. Khuda na khasta, if someone passes away, there's a life insurance as well. Those are all there. Then they also get subsidized rates for oil change, for bike tires. They have ability because is socioeconomic class को has no access to finance. So what we've done is for these riders, we've worked with few NBFCs and a few microfinance banks as well, where they give them bikes on installments and smartphones on installments as well. Currently, अब हमारा जो नया project start हो रहा है वो हो रहा है on e-bikes. So we're trying to get that. We just signed up with Easy Bike in Islamabad. So that's one in motion. We have a couple of other pilots that are about to launch in Karachi. My aim is, inshallah, we get to 1,000 bikes as soon as we can running around in the system. उस तरह जो manufacturers हैं उनकी bikes भी test हो जाती है because obviously this is a person sitting on a bike plus a bag with food inside. तो additional 3 to अगर पैंडा मार्ट का ऑर्डर है तो 10 किलो भी आ सकता है एक्स्ट्रा एंड देन देर ऑल्सो इन अ हरी so they're not driving consistent. It's constant brake accelerate bike भी tested रहती है काफ़ी अच्छी तरह which will hopefully help in their R&D as well.
Interesting. And what about workshops? क्योंकि I'm assuming अगर 150,000 riders हैं तो 150,000 bikes भी system में होंगे. तो अगर have you created ऐसा कोई system कि यार हमने clubbed workshops बना लिए हैं जहाँ पे riders को discounted repair and maintenance मिले?
So we haven't directly. Indirectly, we have through our partners like Zik Oil, for example, है तो Zik वाले हमें discounted दे देते हैं for the riders, right? What we're trying to work is with a couple of fuel stations as well, where they can get maintenance at a better price if they are a Food Panda active rider. But that's in negotiation. So our partnerships team, जो riders की partnerships arrange करती है, that's in full flow. The other thing that we're trying to, so two things that are in works right now. One is education for the kids that we're trying to see how we can subsidize or completely fund through us. शायद completely fund हम ना कर सकते, but definitely we can subsidize.
Why not have them enrolled in like a TCF system?
Because they're not. So we already researched that. It's not available in every town and every locality that these guys operate in. Because they cannot go and drop the kid 20-30 minutes away because फिर लेने के लिए कोई नहीं होता. It needs to be on walking distance. So that's something that but we already in talks with TCF. We have some of our riders' kids already enrolled over there. So we're working on that to figure out ways what we can do. And second is on workshops, maintenance की उस पे हम किसी chain of fuel stations के साथ भी partner up.
Interesting. तो ये अगर हम let's say we take all of this into account, because to me now there's the actual cash compensation, the 40 to let's say 45 to 50,000 rupees for the 48 hours a week. फिर आपको लेट्स से 10,000 टिप्स में मिल गए. फिर ये जो मेंटेनेंस और ये जो एंसिलरी पार्टनरशिप्स के थ्रू डिस्काउंट्स मिलते हैं, लेट्स से यू गेट अनदर बेनिफिट ऑफ 2 से 4,000 रुपए का महीने का, राइट? तो तकरीबन जो बन रहा है इनका तकरीबन 60,000 रुपए का एक एवरेज राइडर का एक इनकम बन जाती है.
Correct.
व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज द मिनिमम real minimum wage that should exist in Pakistan today?
So see, the official government one obviously is 32.5, which is very low.
So Unilever did a whole campaign around this कि भाई एक real minimum wage होनी चाहिए. So since you guys deal with बिल्कुल ही अपना the SECC and the lower economic classes who are impacted directly by a lot of the price adjustments and what's happening. तो उसमें जो perception क्या है कि calculation क्या है, real minimum wage कितनी होनी चाहिए?
So what we hear from the riders, because we also provide them in phases, not continuously, with discounted groceries as well, because we have Panda Mart, we have our own store, so we figure out ways to give them a discounted basket of goods. If we add those in as well, so 45 to 50 is what these riders sort of tell us, that this is something that we need to earn to be able to support our family. Now, see, the challenge that lies is these riders don't live in nuclear families. And that's the challenge. A lot of these individuals have additional family members beyond just the partner and the children or the parents that they're also supporting. And that's where we as Food Panda really educate our riders कि यार आप refer करें अपने और लोगों को, so that anyone who's above 18 and has a license and has a bike, smartphone तो आजकल हर किसी के पास है, should come out and work. Because we need to fix this employment challenge, right? Our aim is, while we are delivering food to people or groceries to people, that then turns into food onto their table. But these riders are also getting employment, right?
True.
The suppliers are getting employment. The staff at the restaurants, the staff at the shops, the staff at our marts, they're earning extra revenue because of an extra channel that's available to them. Kal ko koi aur aata hai, to they'll get another channel. So how does all of this helps support meals being available to every individual that works through us? So we need to. So that's where the challenge lies with the riders. And a lot of them actually have family members that they then bring in as well because they realize कि ए हलाल की कमाई है अपनी मेहनत करो जितनी मेहनत करोगे उतना कमाओगे इट्स एज सिंपल एज दैट राइट as long as there are no internet outages we're fine that's the only thing that's not in our control or rain because rain आती है तो obviously we shut down our services it's not safe for the riders
Right.
Customers complain a lot कि यार हम घर से नहीं निकल सकते and we're like यार आप घर से नहीं निकल सकते imagine a guy riding a two-wheeler you know it just cannot it's just too risky so that's where the challenge lies. So if everyone works, we have a dual income or a tri-income household. This 50,000 can actually be surplus money for them.
Right. तो इसमें as you were saying this and you kept saying कि इनके घरों में multiple families members होते हैं ठीक है ना मेरा दिमाग सीधा एक ही जगह जा रहा था. Is there's women in the household? How many women riders do you have actively today?
Very small number. It's in the low 3 digits. Very small.
So less than 300.
Yeah. We have in Karachi, we have in Sheikhupura, we have in
Sheikhupura, out of all the places.
Yeah. I think the first female rider that I got to know of was one in Sheikhupura.
Okay.
I was in Lahore. I was at my parents' place, and I had a order delivered through a female rider, and she was driving a 125cc bike. I was like, wow. And she, उसने मुझे phone किया कि जी, I'm outside, and I was like, आप कौन? मैं Food Panda. Like अच्छा, so I went out to actually see कि क्या है, and then I spoke with her, and it was phenomenal. And I was like, आप क्यों काम कर रही हैं? Do you have a male member in the house? She's like, yes. तो I was like, वो काम करते हैं? मैंने कहा जी. तो मैंने कहा आप. So it wasn't as if she was forced to work.
Yeah.
She wanted to work, which was brilliant. There are students in Karachi that study in the day, and in the evenings they're riding a bike to supplement their tuition fees. But they don't want to put pressure on their parents. So it's really brilliant. We've to some of our female riders we've given them e-bikes as well. Like we gave it on our behalf so that उनका जो fuel का cost है वो ज़रा subsidize हो सके. So that's something we're doing. But it's a challenge for sure. We're trying to get this up. One thing that was really good for me to hear जब हम riders and I met the female riders in Lahore and Karachi. I asked all of them, have you ever faced harassment on the streets? All of them unanimously said no. In fact, we get more respect. कहते हम जाते हैं तो राइडर्स हट जाते हैं कि आप आगे पहले अपना ऑर्डर ले लें. I was like, yeah, that's brilliant. The restaurants are good with them. So that's really, really good कि एक appreciation and respect for women is building up.
Yeah.
And as more women enter the workforce, hopefully that will sort of become more commonplace as well.
So why not build on this? Because you have the power to be able to actually, I mean, आप किसी भी शहर में चले जाएं, you go to India, you go to Bangladesh, you'll see women riders on the street, side by side खड़े होंगे signals पे. सिर्फ पाकिस्तान में ऐसा है कि नहीं ये हमें नज़र आता. मतलब बांग्लादेश is also a Muslim country, right? इंडिया में भी बल्कि हमसे ज़्यादा मुसलमान हैं वहाँ पे. तो हमारा अच्छा कल्चरली भी हम सिमिलर हैं. तो यहाँ पे मुझे इशू नहीं समझ आता अगर सेफ्टी लाइक यू सेड इज़ नॉट अ कंसर्न, रिस्पेक्ट मिलती है and all of that. And if it is not and it's a mindset issue, if it's just a perception problem, then out of all of the companies that could create change, societal change, it's Food Panda. Why not build on this and bring women out to supplement incomes on the street and bring a whole field of, let's say, 20,000 women riders?
So that's one of our sort of our OKRs or KPIs, whatever you may want to call it, for this year. Increase our two things that we want to do. Right. One, increase our non-Muslim fleet more because again थोड़े marginalized community है ये in the country, so we want to help with them. In fact, we've been working with the local bishops in a lot of the cities where our team of logistics has gone. They've shared information with them. Sunday mass के time पे चले जाते हैं, so because that's the highest the most attendance over there at that point in time, and we've sort of guided them कि आप कर सकते हैं. The perfect time for them to work is Eid because generally the Muslim riders don't want to work on the first day. They work on the second, third, fourth day. They're fine because obviously Eid भी मिलती है, tips ज़्यादा अच्छी मिलती हैं, so they know it's better earning and there's a lot of demand as well. And then Bakra Eid पे is a big problem because Bakra Eid पे तो first half of the day तो no one wants to work.
True.
It's difficult because some of these riders are also Kasais at some point in time, very talented people. So this is something we want to do, and this is something we're working on. What we've focused on right now is to increase the value of the rider in people's eyes. वो एक थोड़ा सा चैलेंज हमें पहले सॉल्व करना है.
What do you mean by that?
So I've been a rider myself. And when I go, I try not to take my helmet off, because as soon as I take my helmet off, people realize कि कोई, ये rider, normal rider नहीं, there's some different individual, right? Plus, obviously, the clothes that I'm wearing are probably different as well. तो वो एक perception change हो जाती है. So I try to keep the helmet on, but because वो इतना साफ सुथरा helmet होता है, साफ सुथरे इतने कपड़े होते हैं, चमक रहे होते हैं, नए नए, I just open the new uniform up, तो the treatment different हो जाती है. But then I see the riders around, right? And the way they are treated by some restaurant partners is not really that good. They're made to wait outside. There's no waiting space. There's no shade. Sometimes the guard at the restaurant will treat them very, very violently.
Violently?
Yeah. They'll be pushing, pulling. We've had situations where there's been fights, actually, unfortunately, because गुस्सा फिर एकदम से गर्म हो जाता है. कोई राइडर अगर वो 8 घंटे काम कर रहा हो गर्मी में और कोई बदतमीजी करे उसके साथ, I mean, इंसान है वो भी, at the end of the day, right?
Realize करना चाहिए they are an extension of the restaurant.
Some of the restaurants are brilliant. They offer them water. They have a water cooler outside for the riders. They have shade. They have benches. उनका भी राइडर वहाँ बैठा होता है, हमारा राइडर भी वहाँ बैठा होता है. They're brilliant. But there are obviously some that are not that good. There are some customers where there are challenges. We've had a rider that was shot by someone's guard.
Shot?
Yeah, in the leg by someone's guard.
Why?
Because the rider was waiting outside. The food was delivered. He was waiting for the change to come out. He sort of followed up a couple of times, and the guard got mad कि आ जाएगा पैसा or something like that, and then poor guy got shot.
Oh my God.
On the thigh. I mean, he's fine. Allah ka shukar hai. We were able to help him from insurance as well, thanks to our partners. But these challenges happen, right? So हमें एक थोड़ा value of the rider within the rider community as well, and outside. That's something we're trying to work on right now. कि खुददार हीरोज इज व्हाट वी ट्राइंग टू कॉल देम नाउ. खुद भी उनको समझ में आए कि यार आप अपने आप को भी इस तरह देखो कि यार आप यू नॉट डिपेंडेंट ऑन एनीवन एल्स, यू सेल्फ रिलायंट. इट्स एसेंशियली an entrepreneur of sorts, because you're choosing your own hours, you're choosing where you want to work, how much you want to work. I don't want to work today, I want to work 3 weeks. 3 weeks I'm going to go away, no one is going to ask you any questions, right? It's आप self employed essentially. तो वो हम काम करें. उसके साथ साथ then we will start this women workforce as well.
ये जो राइडर्स को बेहतर ट्रीट करना, आई एम जस्ट क्यूरियस एज यू सेइंग दिस कि एज अ रेस्टोरेंट व्हाई वुड दैट treating a rider better or giving them additional facility, why would that be of any benefit to me? Because people are ordering my food. I'm a restaurateur. They're ordering my food. It is the food, as long as it is delivered, that the people are going to continue to order. The rider is just a means to an end. So treating the rider any differently, how does that improve the experience for the end user?
So it's not just the treatment of the rider at that point in time, it's the mindset, right? Why does a rider chase the restaurant to hand over food on time? So as soon as an order falls, you get an estimated time on the app, 35 to 45 minutes, for example. And the restaurant gets an estimated preparation time as well, which will, on their app, it will say the rider will be available at, let's suppose the order is at 3, rider will be there by 3:10 p.m. Your food should be prepared by 3:14. Right. Average 14 minutes of prep time in Pakistan. If we look at Food Panda average overall, APAC wide, in the 11 markets that we operate, including a market similar to us like Bangladesh, the average prep time is 12 minutes. So we are already slightly higher than that. What does that tell? That tells that the focus on execution is not consistent across all restaurants.
Right.
Some restaurants are brilliant. There is a big chain of restaurant, I'm not going to name obviously, that are working on shaving 30 seconds of delivery time through kitchen enhancements.
Wow.
30 seconds. Because this 30-second builds up. So it's the mindset that sort of leads to this frustration with the rider, because it means you're not prioritizing the delivery orders, because you have a dine-in sitting over there. चाहे उस dine-in ने 10 मिनट बाद order किया हो, you are prioritizing that because you see the person there. Yeah. Right? And you don't want to, you want to give them priority. But that's not how things work. So again, some restaurants, they have a separate window just for riders, just for delivery orders, चाहे आप खुद चाहें pick up करने as an individual or as a rider. And that tells us the focus. वो restaurants का prep time versus the number of times that they breach the preparation time is also very low. So it just changes the whole dynamic. And lastly, for the rider as well, as soon as they get an order of that restaurant, they will immediately accept it. If
Okay, I see.
the order comes for a restaurant where they're notorious to be rude or not very क्या कहते हैं, hospitable towards the riders, there's a chance that that rider might not accept and he'll reject.
So it'll take longer for that delivery anyways.
Potentially
so
it
the
might.
experience
So
changes.
that builds up. You know, if you have thousands of orders, it builds up
Right.
over
Interesting.
over the day.
What is the average tip in Pakistan?
Average tip right now is around 70 something rupees.
And does it vary by city?
Yeah, it does.
Who's the biggest? Which is the
and
biggest
zones
tipping city?
as well? Islamabad.
Islamabad is the
In
biggest.
terms of the not the percentage, in terms of the amount is higher because Islamabad ka average order value is also higher. Karachi ka, for example,
I thought
DHA is
Karachi
very
DHA
high.
would be the highest.
DHA percentage penetration is the highest.
Of,
So they tip the most.
they tip the most.
Yeah, the most number of orders that are tipped are in DHA.
So what percentage of orders in DHA are tipped?
I don't have it off the top of my head. On average, we have online जो हमारी tip है जो pre-tipping है.
हाँ.
So 45% of our orders are online paid.
ठीक है.
So cash is 55, online is 45.
ठीक है.
So only those 45 are eligible for a tip, right? Essentially speaking, because बाकी में तो आप cash से pay करो तो we don't know if you tipped or not.
ठीक है. So of the online,
if I look,
सही है.
out of that 45%, almost 50% are tipped.
ठीक है. So of the online orders, 50% are tipped. Cash में नहीं पता चल सकता.
नहीं पता. I mean, we can if
But
you
what's
want
the
to, but
word
there's
of-
no, yeah, there's no benefit of us trying to push.
So on average, you're saying आधे order tip होते हैं.
आधे order
That's
tip
a
होते हैं
fair
online
estimate.
के. Yeah, that's a fair estimate.
और सबसे ज़्यादा tip करने वाले कराची में हैं.
Percentage wise, yes.
Tip करने वाले, लेकिन
Yeah.
tip
Tip
size
amount जो है वो इस्लामाबाद से ज़्यादा है because their average order value is also
उनकी average order. Right. Interesting. Okay, interesting. So it sounds like you're tracking, as we discussed riders, it sounds like you're tracking a lot of metrics at the same time. You mentioned your prep rate, you mentioned your tip penetration rate, the average tip size, percentages of prepaid online versus cash. How many metrics do you think a business should track on average to be successful? Overall, at your level, at a CEO level.
So I specifically track around 10 myself.
10 metrics.
10. Those are hard-hitting metrics that I feel move the needle the most, or it's something that is fundamentally important for us, even if it might not move the needle too much.
What are
like
those
sustainability, for example, is one, right? Sustainability from a EV perspective. That's something I want to do. It has no impact on our business generally, right? But it has an impact on the environment. So it's a fundamental change we want to bring in to, decarbonize or at least reduce the carbon footprint of the country.
So that is one metric. What are the other 9?
So a lot of them. So there is a fail rate, which is how many orders do we fail every day?
Fail rate.
Fail rate.
How
How
many
many
orders
orders do we fail every day? So order that came in, but we were not able to deliver. So an order that got accepted by the restaurant, an order that got placed by the customer, but was not delivered.
Got accepted by the rest? No.
But it could have been not accepted by the restaurant. उससे cancel कर दिया because out of stock था.
ठीक है.
Maybe बंद हो रही है उसकी दुकान, उसने कर दिया और skipped भूल गया 6 मिनट के लिए बचता रहता है tablet.
Right.
Maybe it was somewhere they didn't realize.
है.
It could be there was a rider accident हो गया and wasn't able to deliver. It could be that the customer, actually हमारा customer fail rate is the highest out of all the fail rates. Because customers a lot of times just disappear as well or they don't want to accept the order.
So इसका मतलब है कि customer ने accept ही नहीं किया order.
Accept ही नहीं किया.
Order place करके गायब हो गया.
लेकर गायब हो गया. Order late हो गया. Let's supposed to deliver in 30 minutes. Rider came in 45. Customers like, I don't want it anymore. Fair enough. I mean, we failed, right? I mean, we committed 30. We're delivering 45. That's wrong. It's as simple as that. So that's another metric that we track. The number of orders that we deliver late and the number of orders that we deliver early.
So early, late, and then fail.
Overall fail rate, yes.
So ये 3 अलग metrics.
Yeah, अलग है. Yes. Then we have our so there are a couple of internal metrics that we use
Right.
that are slightly difficult to explain. So there's this thing called a seamless order, right? Which is something that we track internally. What it should translate into is a great experience for you when you place an order with us, right from when you open the app till the order is delivered to you, which includes metrics on the app, the conversion rates on multiple screens, the availabilities, zero search results. आपने search किया अंडे on Panda हमारे अंडे available नहीं है. That's a zero search result. So all of those combined sort of form a high level metric which I track, and then we break it down into multiple for each function. Then we track our monthly active users. Then we track our new customer acquisitions that we do every day. Uski penetration kya hai? We track our pro subscriber penetration because that's big.
Right.
Panda Pro is unlimited free deliveries. I don't know why anyone would not sign up, to be honest.
Right.
It's 250 rupees a month, unlimited free deliveries. You do 3 deliveries and you've made your money back.
We'll just come to that in a second. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's interesting. And average order value?
Average order value, I don't.
You do not track?
I don't. I do from वो extension में हो जाती है ना.
Right.
Because when you look at unit economics,
Right.
उधर track हो जाता है. But that's not something I am tracking at my level. Our commercial director, for example, is tracking that at his level. The finance director is doing it at their level. So I need to pick and choose my battles.
Do you track anything around the rider retention rate?
So overall churn rate is another one.
But that's overall company churn.
Both sides. All three sides. The number of vendors that churn.
Right.
So vendors also go away.
Bilkul.
For whatever reason. Customers that churn.
Yes.
And the riders that churn.
How do you track customer churn? क्योंकि ऐप तो पड़ा हुआ है, मैंने नहीं order किया 3 महीने से.
Yeah. So you for us you're churned out.
After
if you 30 days. If you don't place one order in 30 days, for us you're churned out. Then our reactivation CRM flows kick in.
Got it.
And we want to reactivate you. And then वो आहिस्ता करके 20 रुपए 50 रुपए से करके 200 रुपए तक हम फंड कर रहे होते हैं.
Free pro offers नहीं देते?
So we do. Okay. So that's also there. We partnered with Jazz, right. I believe is one that is on top of my head right now, where they're giving free pro subscriptions to their customers,
right?
Based on a certain metric that they have. इतना आप top up करो तो आपको free pro subscription मिल जाएगी. That's one. So we're working with some partners over there as well. We also do कोई lucky वो अपना spin the wheel, उसमें आपको pro मिल जाता है कभी. New customers को भी push it out as well. So multiple areas that we do where we want people to try out. We want people to try out pro and see the benefit of it, because it's not just so it's we've made it very simple. We're only talking about free deliveries. There are more benefits of pro. Deeper discounts, pick up पे discount, delivery पे discount. कोई वाउचर मिल जाएगा इधर XYZ. You get a priority customer support as well. But that's too much information for a consumer.
Free delivery.
Free delivery unlimited.
250 रुपए per month.
250 रुपए per month.
2000
रुपए साल का.
So बल्कि मैथ करते ही हैं. मैं I'll just jump right into it. I've been wanting to ask this. I did a little bit of research. I don't do research typically. I just ask. This whole podcast is more of a flowing conversation. I use Food Panda once a week. It's a fixed once a week every Sunday. ये एक आदत है. We watch TV at home. We watch a movie. My wife and I, we order Food Panda and we eat, and that's been a routine since.
We need to make you order more.
It's been a routine for years. ठीक है. अभी we were having a discussion. तो मैंने क्या किया? I opened my app. क्योंकि recently मैं चीज़ notice कर रहा था कि बहुत सारी line items add होने शुरू हो गए हैं, and the order that was originally X is now like way more than X. Yeah. And it's not just कि वो महंगाई हो गई है. It was literally there's multiple line items. So right before you came in, literally in the last 10-20 minutes I did this. I literally clicked on the Food Panda app. I clicked on the first restaurant, happened to be Anghiti. I clicked on the first deal, which was some pav deal for like buy one Malai roll and get a free roll.
Right.
ठीक है? And I went and I did the math on this. And basically for that one Malai and one Bihari roll free, some pav deal, it took me to some Panda box, which I didn't understand. And the total price was 855. इस 855 price के अंदर एक delivery fee है, एक platform fee है, VAT है, and then the price of the food. ठीक है, मैंने कहा चलो 855 मैंने lock कर लिया. ये मुझे just by doing tuck, this all happened in less than 10 seconds. मैंने फिर अंगीठी को फ़ोन किया. मैंने अंगीठी को फ़ोन करके कहा मुझे एक मलाई और एक बिहारी रोल दें, कितने का होगा? उन्होंने कहा 330 रुपये का एक है और 305 रुपये का दूसरा है. 635. मैंने कहा डिलीवरी कितने की है? उन्होंने डिलीवरी फ़ी 180 रुपीज़ बताई, विच वॉज 199 ऑन फूड पैंडा. इनका ऑर्डर टोटल आया 813 वर्सेज द 855. सो कॉलिंग द रेस्टोरेंट डायरेक्टली वॉज चीपर फॉर मी. अच्छा, आई डेंट नो दिस. But Emmer, who's standing right behind the camera here, goes, you know what? Reset that thing, go back in, and now go to direct to Anghiti and order it not from the Panda box, but order it from Anghiti, and it'll be cheaper. So what are you talking about, yeah? Panda box is offering me this 25% off. It can't be cheaper. फिर मैं वही किया. The Anghiti restaurant direct price was 848. So now I'm sitting with three prices. I'm sitting with 813 rupees from the restaurant. Panda Box, which is supposed to give me a discount, gave me 855. Or wahi cheese, when I just did a little reset, I saved 7 rupees at 848. Now, if I do, let's say, I'm not going to do this, but why are there, first of all, why is the restaurant cheaper? And especially the restaurant is cheaper because it's got its own margin, you're taking 30%, whatever you are, we'll get into that. But why are there multiple pricings within the app right now? And then how does the Panda Box make sense in this case? Because this is just a small, let's say lunchtime order. मैं इसको scale करूँ, मैं let's say एक बड़ी family के लिए order करूँ, KFC से 4 basket order कर दूँ, मेरे पास 40 लोग आ रहे हैं, फिर क्या होगा?
So let's tackle the restaurant first. So one thing we do is we push for the same prices on our platform as the restaurant that they use for their delivery. So some restaurants have a different price for delivery and a different price for dine-in. बहुत छोटा subset है, but so whatever you're giving on delivery, it has to be the same here from an item-wise pricing. तो वो तो एक side पे हो गया. Now the difference in price क्या है? If you order direct from us, regardless Panda Box, non-Panda Box, versus if you order directly from restaurants. You may get cheaper, you may not get cheaper. There are multiple scenarios to that. One of the biggest things where our price changes is the distance. So our delivery fees is distance based. So if you order from 1 kilometer and below, for lunchtime, for example, you will pay, I believe, 69 rupees delivery fees. If you're ordering from 5 kilometers, for example, you will pay 199 or 149. I don't remember exactly which one it is. So that's how we do, because the rider payout is also similar. Rider, if they have to do a longer delivery, they have to do more deliveries to be able to unlock their bonus, for example, because there's an element of distance and there's an element of number of orders delivered. So rider ki utilization rate गिर जाता है the more long distance orders that they do.
Because they spend more time in the travel.
Exactly. So that's one. A restaurant may, again, the pricing, they can do whatever they want to do. We don't have control over that.
Of course.
They can reduce it.
You take what percentage of the restaurants?
So we on average take around 22 to 23%. So that's the average.
I'll come into that in a second. Okay. So you're taking 22 to 23% from a restaurant.
So that's the average on the platform right now.
What's the highest it can go to?
30.
It can't go higher than 30.
No one is beyond 30. Home chefs, we cap it at 28. Restaurants, we cap it at 30.
We'll come to that in a second. Okay. So the home chefs are about, say.
Yeah. So that's one.
So right there, your pricing may be higher because the restaurant has to factor that into their cost when serving through you.
No. The pricing may be higher because of the delivery fees difference.
And the delivery fees different.
The list price of the item will be the same.
Okay.
For all these restaurants that we class restaurants by the amount of GMV they are providing to us on the platform.
Okay.
So the top 70% GMV providing restaurants, any restaurant that you can think of probably will be there.
Right.
Uspe there is zero tolerance on any markup. No one can do markup. Why? And there's a logical reason behind it as well. Number one, we are spending on marketing, obviously, and it's an aggregated platform. So the restaurant does not have to spend on their marketing, which is pretty substantial, right? I mean, you're in the business, you have an idea of the amount of dollars that we need to invest there. So that's one. So that's a cost that they're saving. Number two, it's a pure delivery order, which means the front of restaurant ki jo cost hai, waiters, AC, VC, ye wo, that should not be factored into your P&L for delivery orders, which not a lot of restaurants understand. They don't segregate those P&Ls. So that's the second. Third, we are... So the third is, if you have a markup, the problem comes where customers think Food Panda has put a markup over there.
That's the perception.
That's the perception, which is wrong, because we have zero control over the price that they have. We have control when they come in, we verify, and then we put them on. We have 20,000 restaurants on the platform. We cannot check every restaurant every day. So what we do is, जो हमारे named key accounts हैं, ये तो GMV top 70%, उनको तो हम every X number of days. Right. I don't want to say कितने number of days restaurant सुन लेंगे मजाक करो. So we check them every X number of days and we make sure that there's no markup over there, because perception again has to be the same. But if we look at the P&L of the restaurants and we look at what they do, what they used to do before us and what they do after us, every restaurant's business increases. एक हिस्टोरिकल मिसकंसेप्शन थी लोगों की कि हम कैनिबलाइज कर देते हैं
Yes.
उनकी कस्टमर बेस को. That doesn't happen. Anyone, so let's suppose today you order, you took an example of अंगीठी. Let's suppose you've never dined in over there. ठीक है? आपने आज
I
किया.
actually haven't.
Okay, you haven't, right? And so there you go. Exactly the right example. You've never dined in there. You probably would
I didn't know
not
they
pick up the phone and call them up
I
because
would
you don't
never-
know they exist.
I didn't know they
Right?
exist. It literally popped up on the app as the first thing. मैंने click कर दिया.
Yeah. And if you order, it's a great restaurant, to be honest. If you see the rating, it's 4.2,
Yeah.
4.3.
Yeah, it was a high rating,
Right?
exactly,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it's a great rating. I mean, it's even top of my mind. So obviously,
बल्कि मैं तो
there's a
सोच
reason
रहा था,
behind
I
it.
told them, मैंने कहा मैं कल lunch पे order करूँगा.
So, so once you order, second time you order, third time, and you realize कि यार खाना अच्छा है, packaging अच्छी है, so you realize कि it's a good restaurant.
So वो customer acquisition cost तो restaurant ने नहीं दी है.
वो
You've
नहीं
given
दी.
that.
Exactly. So that's part of the commission that we charge.
Right.
Then eventually, after the third, fourth, fifth order, you will eventually go and dine in at that restaurant as well. That's natural. So आपको additional revenue मिलता है हमारे से. Yes, there will be a little bit of, sort of switching over of the channel कि वो every time dine in पे नहीं आएगा. Maybe वो 20% कम कर दे dine in को और delivery पे order कर दे.
ठीक है.
But that's for existing customers that you have. There are lots of new customers that are coming in as well. So this is a discovery platform as well. So that's where obviously the commission is not just to pay off our costs of doing operations, it's also to pay off the marketing and the customer acquisition costs that we do on the restaurant's behalf. Now the difference between Panda Box and non-Panda Box.
तो ये तो मैं समझ आ गया this part and it makes and I want to come to the Panda Box in a second. एक इसमें चीज़ ऐड करूँगा. It makes sense for a restaurant at scale, but a lot of times we've heard a lot of buzz, noise around home chefs saying that the slice taken away from me is too big. अब home chefs obviously वो scale पे काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, so they're not able to buy things at that kind of pricing. So obviously their margins will be different. क्या home chef को 30% देना, is that a fair and reasonable number because they can't scale the same way a restaurant can?
So that's one of the reasons why we have home chefs at 28%. That's number one. Number two, we have, and we are really thankful to the provincial governments. We worked with the Punjab government and the Sindh government. Both of them have given us a rebate on the commission tax that is charged on the commission. So it's 5% in Lahore, in Punjab, and 8% in Sindh.
जो sales tax होगी.
Yeah. No, not sales tax. जो commission पे tax जो हम charge करते हैं, हम on our revenue.
Right.
Then there's a tax
which is your
on top,
SST.
right? Exactly.
So उस पे they're giving you a 5% credit which you
Yes,
pass back
which
on.
is exactly so which saves money for the home chefs. So that's another one. Third is what we this is so home chefs is a passion project for us. It's
कितने हैं
really
अभी? How many do you have right
we have around 4,000 to 5,000 home chefs pan Pakistan. Majority lie in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Pindi.
And daily active home
Hyderabad.
chefs कितने होंगे that delivered every day?
Around 2,000, around 3,000. 3,000 home chefs get an order every day.
And what is their average monthly GMV for average home chef?
So it ranges. For an average home chef, it will be around 100,000 rupees.
So महीने के लाख रुपए कमा लेते हैं.
Yes.
Just on the app घर बैठ के.
Yeah.
That's even better than the rider. Rider से कहे खाना बनाना सीख ले.
Correct. Correct.
तो सुबह riding करे, sorry रात में और सुबह खाना बनाए.
Or the people at their home who are not riding, maybe they can get food. By the way, I ran into a home chef whose actually wife was sorry, I ran into a rider whose wife was a home chef.
तो ये तो ecosystem ही
It
बना
was
हुआ है.
brilliant. Yeah, I loved it. So home chefs में
28% हो गया. You get a rebate from the provincial governments.
The other thing that we do for them is we are helping them in 2-3 areas. Number one, on their menu creation. How to create a menu. We have that experience, right? Based on, the 20,000 restaurants that we have. And हर zone का ना अपनी pricing है.
ठीक है.
So if you go to North Nazimabad versus Gulshan versus Malir, there'll be different pricing for the same item. So we guide them on that. Second, we help them in sourcing as well. So for example, we have a partnership with Pepsi. They're our beverage partner. They create this kurkure creations that they do.
That's
right?
वो देखे हैं मैंने exactly.
Yeah, and they work through us on that.
Right.
And we solely do it on home chefs, which is something that they then get उनको जो beverages भी मिलती हैं वो cheaper price पे मिलती हैं.
और ये सब home chefs को available है.
सब home chefs को available है. What we're also now trying to do is 2 things. One, जो major item है ना उनके rice, flour, oil. Because we do pantry services as well, which is B2B services. So restaurants
So you're helping them buy
बहुत
it
बड़े
still.
restaurants को they can buy it from us, which will be at a much cheaper price because we have obviously a much larger inventory that we buy. So over there, and second is on packaging. That's if you ask me, यार एक चीज that is the most difficult but the most impactful that we can do from a restaurant perspective, चाहे वो home chef हो, चाहे वो kitchen हो, चाहे वो कोई भी हो restaurant, regular restaurant हो, is moving towards better packaging. A soup or a chai in a plastic की थैली is just not just unhealthy, it's a death trap, right? We have been focusing on that कि यार इसको किसी तरह ठीक करना है. And if you go and see the good home chefs, their packaging is phenomenal. They take so much pride in their packaging कि you see it as soon as you know open it and you have it at home. A lot of the home chefs, for example, at New Year's, they were sending small handwritten notes to the customers. Happy New Year, you know, you were our first order for on 1st January. You know, इस तरह की छोटी-छोटी चीजें. It's just giving them the personalized touch. So from a output perspective, price points, उस पे हम help करते हैं. Sometimes home chefs try to really, you know, dial down their price ताकि orders आएं. But that doesn't make sense because the rest of the zone, for example, is selling the same thing at 400 rupees. आप 250 में बेच रहे हो. So उससे दो मसले होते हैं. Either obviously you're not making enough money, or the customer perception also changes कि ये पता नहीं क्या quality होगी. जो हर बंदा 400 450 का दे रहा है, ये 250 का दे रहा है. What is in this? Is it actually chicken or is it not? You know, so it just changes. So उधर हम बहुत so that helps increasing their revenue. The discount from on the tax, that helps increase their revenue as well. Third is we also have a lower delivery fees on home chefs on our platform so that we can drive more orders to them. That's just a way to incentivize the customer.
So the same
to try home
199
chefs.
delivery
It
for
was 49
5
rupees, I
kilometers.
think.
वो कितना होगा?
So for the 69 that we have,
Right.
the equivalent of home chefs is 49.
अच्छा ठीक है. So it's not a, it's a 1/3
But for
difference.
the larger one, उस पे फिर ज़्यादा difference रहता है.
Right.
So no home chef, I believe, goes to 199, for example, right? Because उनकी average order values भी थोड़ी सी कम होती हैं. Although there are some really high-end home chefs as well.
Right.
जिनका एक item is like 2,000, 3,000 rupees.
Oh wow.
Brilliant home chefs. They have their own following on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else as well. And they want to work with us on the platform because, again, marketing costs are too high. It's just much easier for them to work with us. And then there's the sourcing part. Sourcing को हम we've worked out a lot because beverages हमने already कर दिया इनको. कुरकुरे creations आ रहे हैं, उससे हमें obviously Pepsi co-invests with us. Then there are other elements that we do. So that's there. Some of our other CPGs also do some sampling activities through home chefs. You know, if they want to launch something else, it's very easy for them to test anything because it's cheap. They don't have to market. They don't have to involve an ATL or an agency to do it, you know, out on the roads. They just use us for those perspectives as well. But Home Chef is a passion project completely. We were the first ones to do it within the Delivery Hero network, which is 74, 75 countries that we operate in. We serve 2.5 billion consumers in the world. And it becomes so successful that then Bangladesh opted for it as well. We've launched it in Malaysia as well. And we're launching it now in some Latin American countries as well. We exist over there as a platform called Peridosia. So we're exporting this to other markets within Delivery Hero.
Interesting. And so that's why the 28% exists because the home chef is actually getting a lot of benefit from this. And so coming back to then the pricing thing, the 813 versus 855 versus 848. So you explained the restaurant and the platform. Panda Box. Why is Panda Box, which is supposed to be a discount, more expensive than the all three?
So it should not be. What is Panda Box? Panda Box is a sort of like a flash deal that's available to you when you open the app. It's not available to you every time. Certain times
I said 13 minutes I have to order it or something.
I think 15 hota hai. But by the time you probably
by the time,
check out to 13
I started doing the
So it's available and it changes for every zone. It also changes for the customer. The aim for Panda Box is to make you try a restaurant that you have not tried before based on your ordering habits, essentially. Definitely there's margin for improvement in terms of what recommendations we give, but
how does the pricing work?
Not everyone opts in on that either. So restaurants opt in.
Right.
वो opt in करके हमें बताता है कि okay, this is the kind of discount I want to give on Panda Box.
So there's an algorithm that probably is telling you the customer this might be something you like, telling the restaurant this is a customer that might buy from you.
But the discount that they want to give, the cap of that is driven by the restaurant.
Okay.
So that's why the price differential is there.
But how can it be more expensive? वो मुझे नहीं समझ आया.
वो इसीलिए ना, because let's suppose example ले लेंगे, ठीक है, इन्होंने कहा ये 2 rolls separately we want to create a deal and we want to give 200 rupees off इस deal पे. Let's suppose वो हो गया. On Panda Box उन्होंने कहा यार we want to cap it at 150 rupees discount. So when you go through Panda Box, it might be lower, higher, and if you go directly through that deal combos उन्होंने specific किया हुआ है, it might be lower. There's another reason for that as well. We have we're title sponsors of Islamabad United, so we have our PSL deals that have gone live this month as well, which are pretty attractive.
Right.
So it could be because of that as well, because we went deeper over there.
Right.
Panda Box is something that people generally don't opt only for 1 month. They take it for a longer period of time because then they really see the impact from a consumer perspective.
Right.
So it might have been going on from before those deals, and then they went deeper into the deals because they want to capitalize on the PSL extra traffic that comes onto the platform.
So हमने काफ़ी बात की. We talked a lot about the pricing, how the pricing can vary. It's not perfect. ठीक है ना? And it's understandable. It's a business. You improve every day. लेकिन in this game of not being perfect, social media pe keyboard warriors take advantage. There are two platforms where we hear a lot of noise with lots of pictures and long posts. I think Karachi Food Diary and Voice of the Customer. What is your view on these platforms and the kind of reviews that are amplified on this? And how do you handle it as a business?
So one thing that I've seen, which is very good, is a lot of times I see a complaint. People obviously chiming in as well with their probably a negative or their own bad experience with us, for example. And then there are people over there who are responding on our behalf already and supporting us and saying कि नहीं हमारे साथ कभी नहीं हुआ, आप ये करो तो इस तरह वो claim हो जाता है, this is how you reach out to the customer service, and they've never denied a claim as long as it's valid, whatever the case. And this trend we monitor, and we've seen that the positive comments on social media have been on an upward trend and the negative comments have been on a downward trend.
So you're tracking this real
we are
time,
tracking, yeah.
Social listing and everything.
Yes, this is something we're doing. So we have a community management team as well, and then we have our local teams as well, and then we have our global team that also scrapes data for us as well, apart from all the brand health trackers that we have as well, which run quarterly. So there's lots of data that's coming in that's telling us what the trend is. Obviously, we also have customer NPS, which I don't look at the absolute number. I just look at the moving average. कि ऊपर जा रही है, नीचे जा रही है, क्या हो रहा है? And it's very reflective of how our service is during those times. Now, coming to, for example, any social media platform where there are complaints. So one thing is, चाहे वो LinkedIn हो, Facebook हो, Instagram हो, I don't know, Startup Pakistan or XYZ, जितने भी platforms हैं आपके, any negative comment, we investigate. Every single comment that's out there, we investigate.
That's a lot of investigation.
There's not a lot of
negative comments.
That's
good.
They're like, I think I can say the number. They're like 50 odd in a month.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was also surprised.
Yeah.
अब मैंने टीम को कहा मैंने गलत देख रहा है, हो ही नहीं सकता. ज़्यादा होंगे क्योंकि 10-15 तो मैं देखता हूँ यार. तो उन्होंने कहा जी वो सेम लोग बार-बार डालते हैं. I was like, oh, अच्छा, that's also true.
Voucher चाहिए उनको.
In a lot of cases, yes. So every single one we check. There are times when we see that there was a loophole in our process that we need to fix because we should have addressed the customer's query and we did not, so we failed. That's also the essence of our current TV campaign as well, where we're trying to be more transparent. हमें पता है we're not perfect, but we're trying our best to be better every day. That's what with every delivery we want to become better.
Right.
But then majority of those comments are from those people that are suspicious in our algorithm. So there's an algorithm at the back that helps the agent, it's not a bot, that helps the customer support agent to make a decision, right? And it's very process oriented. It's not कि आज मेरा mood अच्छा था तो I will give more refunds, कल मेरा mood अच्छा नहीं है तो मैं कम कर दूँ. It's very simple because these agents are also tracked on their average handling time, first call resolution times, first call resolution percentage, कितने उन्होंने escalate किए to the second level, उसने कितने escalate किए to the third level. So there are 3 levels that get that review. Every single complaint that comes in, directly on the app or on social media gets reviewed. उस time पे decision हो जाता है based on the algorithms कि देना है कि नहीं देना. Then there is a level 2 review that we do of a sample as well. चाहे वो complain करे, चाहे वो especially अगर वो complain नहीं करता. So there's a subset that doesn't complain. हमने reject कर दिया उसका उसने कंप्लेन नहीं की, वी स्टिल डू अ सैम्पल चेक द नेक्स्ट मॉर्निंग टू मेक श्योर कि गड़बड़ ना हो. देन द सेपरेट टीम चेक्स जिनको हमने दे दिया था कि वो सही हुआ था कि नहीं हुआ था, just to make sure कि वहाँ पे कोई loophole तो नहीं है, do we need to tweak our algorithms more.
Right.
But the majority of the social media complaints that come out, we address all of them. We ask them कि जी आपका मसला, let's suppose you came, you put a negative comment, we went, we checked, yes you were wrongly denied, we give it back to you, we ask the customer politely कि आप अपनी post पे लिख दें कि जी भी मसला, the problem got resolved, or just delete your post, because वो पड़ी रहती है, फिर कोई 6 दिन बाद जाके बंदा भी उसी पोस्ट पे दोबारा लाइक और शेयर और कमेंट डाल रहा होता है. इट गेट्स रिवाइव्ड अगेन, देन आवर टीम पिक्स इट अप अगेन, रिव्यूज इट, एंड दे लाइक, ओ अच्छा ये तो रिजॉल्व हो गया, इट्स जस्ट एक्स्ट्रा नॉइज. But then the majority of those are people who did not deserve a refund or did not deserve a sorry voucher, for example, because it was not our fault, it was not the restaurant's fault, it was not the rider's fault. The fault either was on the customer or the customer became too antsy too quickly. 45 minutes का डिलीवरी टाइम था, 30 मिनट पे आके कंप्लेन करना शुरू कर दिया, ऑर्डर नहीं आया, ऑर्डर नहीं आया, ऑर्डर नहीं आया. आई मीन वी कैन डू एनीथिंग ना यार, प्रॉमिस ही 45 मिनट्स था ना यार. सो इफ वी आर डिलीवरिंग plus 10 minutes, then we don't do any refunds or we don't do any compensations.
Up till 55 minutes.
We don't do any compensations. Beyond that, there is some auto comp that happens as well. If you're a regular customer, you're a regular customer, you order frequently, you may just get an auto compensation, even though your food will be delivered, not a problem. 100, 200, 300 rupees वैसे ही हम दे देंगे. Just, कि चलो यार, you suffered. Then beyond a certain time, you can refund the order and you can cancel the order and we will refund it to you completely. But number of late orders is around 10% of our orders are late.
What's the regional or global average?
So we're slightly worse than the best Food Panda countries like a Taiwan or a Hong Kong or a Singapore. Obviously, there's a difference because it's a much different market.
Singapore roads are...
Everyone... Roads के अलावा भी there's a
system, the mindset.
System that's there. So people...
Singapore would be what? 10%?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't want to quote a wrong number. But एक और भी है ना वहाँ पे. So they also leave order at the door and go. पाकिस्तान में ये नहीं है possible.
Right.
Although there's an option on the app, we've changed that now. हमने हटा दी because no one follows it. रख दिया बाहर, साथ वाला लेके चला गया तो हमारे लिए प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. It's a problem.
कुत्ते घूम रहे होते हैं, वही खा जाएंगे सारा.
हाँ, बाहर तो they can just leave it and market delivered and they go. So yeah, that's the challenge. How do we...
Like, do you
is it painful? Yes.
Yeah, do you succumb to the noise? Because a lot of companies, what happens is कि वो इतना परेशान हो जाती हैं कि एकदम से शोर लोग कर रहे हैं, यार इसको shut it down. जो देना है दे दो.
No, we don't. देखिए, again, that's why it's important to look at trends. And that's why data is important. So we've been looking at trends. We've been tracking them since 2 years. It spiked in the middle due to some reasons. Generally, we were at fault. Then, for example, floods के time पे बहुत spike हुआ था, वहाँ से आ गया because बहुत challenges थे. So up and down जाता रहता है. But the moving average now for the past 7 months, 8 months actually, from July onwards till now, has been on a downward trend of negative comments. Positive has been stable or up. And neutral has been similar. So there's not much over there, not much change over there. Our brand health tracker, that has shown positive movement as well. Top of mind, for example, is extremely high, but top of mind doesn't really say much other than कि brand exist करता है, brand people appreciate. It doesn't tell us if the service is good or not. But reliability has been on an upward trend, which is the important one that we track. Affordability is another one, but I think affordability आजकल के ज़माने में तो किसी का भी पॉजिटिव ट्रैक नहीं कर रहा होगा. As long as it's not going, there's not a nose dive on it, you're okay. So there's noise. We look at it. We look at the trends. If the trends are moving in the right direction, that means it's good.
Anomaly.
But we cannot take our focus off it. We cannot take our foot off the pedal. We need to bring this 50, for example, escalations a month down to 20, 25. उस पे आए करते let's get to, I mean, we'll never get to zero, obviously, because there are genuine cancellations that happen because of us. अब उसका तो हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते. In terms of from a customer perspective, we can't stop the customer from complaining, but we want them to come to the help chat, to the help center. They come over there. There's a chat that opens up. There's a not a bot, an actual agent sitting there that communicates, and they follow the process, and they will give you or deny. Even if they deny, there is a second level check that happens.
Right.
A lot of time people don't check their emails as well because we communicated over email then. अगर आपका escalate हो गया, then within 24 hours you get a resolution.
Got it.
We promised 24 hours, 95% we resolve within 6 hours.
Okay, wow.
So we
that's
close the
pretty
case.
good.
चाहे देना या नहीं देना. We close the case in within 6 hours. But then email sent out, which people don't check. And that's the challenge.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. This is quite a complex way of tracking social listening and sentiment. And I think a lot of this comes from people don't realize this. Food Panda in Pakistan is owned by a global entity called Delivery Hero. And Delivery Hero operates in multiple markets. You've traveled across Pakistan because of this. You've seen different cities that you had not seen before, met people you would have not met otherwise. Riders say, down to the grassroots level. Now, if I was to come from that, and then you talked about how women are treated as riders, how well they're treated, and so on. If I start going macro, ठीक है, and come up to the parent company level, कि ये delivery hero है, ठीक है, ये देख रही है Food Panda in Pakistan. Pakistan is a market of 260 million people. How does it view the Pakistan market given all the challenges that we have? Is it a challenged market with restricted average order values, with restricted growth, political instability, all of that? Or is this a market of opportunity, like from a macro level that the parent company would view it at? Because your other markets are, like you said, Singapore. Your other markets are Bangladesh. I think Cambodia you guys are in as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a variety, right? And Pakistan is the most volatile seemingly.
So yeah, that's a great question. So Delivery Hero, for people that don't know, it's a publicly listed company in Germany that we listed on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. We own and operate, 100% we own and operate multiple brands. So Talabat, a lot of people might know of Talabat because of the Gulf. That's owned by us. In Saudi, there is Hunger Station that's owned by us. Then there's Foodora in Europe. There's Peridosia in Latin America. There's obviously Food Panda in Asia Pacific. Then there's Glovo in Central Eastern Europe and Central Asian states. And then there is a Korean brand called Baemin. And then there's a groceries player called InstaShop in the Gulf. So there are like 7 or 8 brands that we own, 100% by us. The good thing is we're also in Argentina. We're in Egypt. We're in Iraq. Impacted countries. And Turkey. Yemek Sepeti is also owned by us. So hyperinflation in Turkey, hyperinflation in Argentina, they've officially been categorized as hyperinflation. We've not been, thankfully.
Right.
Egypt and Pakistan, exactly the same metrics.
Correct.
Har cheez dekh lein aap. From rider quality, from population, from penetration of online payments, everything is exactly the same. GDP is very similar.
Infrastructure.
At the last global meeting that we had, the Egyptian MD presented, her country. And I was looking at the stats and I was like, yaar, tumhe Pakistan dekh rahe ho. Exactly. A mirror image. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, then we can go and talk to these people.
Right.
So we meet twice a year as global MDs, all of us. So we can talk to them. Right. We have access to them. We understand what's going wrong, what's working for them, what's not working for us. And we can compare notes from that perspective. So what hyperinflation countries हैं, for example, that gives Delivery Hero perspective. Yaar, ye bhi hai. Then on the flip side, you have a country like a Taiwan or a Hong Kong. Amazing basket. Hungary. Amazing basket size. Huge. Pakistan ka basket size is, in euro terms, is definitely one of the lowest. We're definitely in the bottom quartile of the 70 odd countries that we exist within Delivery Hero. Right? So that's the challenge in terms of euros. But they're not here. Delivery Hero is not here in Pakistan to earn X, Y, and Z millions of euros today. They're here for the longer term. And this is coming from, for example, I've had a very deep discussion with our global CEO, our global COO, and coming specifically from them because the CEO is the one that's, talking to the investors, right? Investor relations completely are handled by him as the key figure. And he's very well respected, Nicholas. So number one, is Pakistan on top of his mind? Yes. So that was good, right? I mean, if he sees me, one of 70 odd MDs in the system, he won't know who I am, right? But he knows. And why? Because Pakistan is important. Why is that important? Pakistan and Bangladesh are clubbed together in a lot of discussions. However, we're very different. The growth that we see in Pakistan as of today is one of the best growths across the Delivery Hero network.
Growth in customer acquisition or
Growth in, and now I'm talking about GMV, for example.
okay, GMV growth.
Yeah, top line, bottom line, improvements, whatever there is. We had a phenomenal 2023 from a growth perspective. Obviously, assisted by inflation as well, because average order values बढ़
inflation
गई उसकी वजह से
adjusted,
inflation adjusted भी we grew significantly. We aim to now grow even faster in 2024 because whatever consolidation we needed to do, whatever measures we needed to take for profitability to enhance that, we've taken those. We don't want to further increase the prices for consumer. So we're trying to figure out ways how to sort of reduce the impact on the consumer's pocket as much as we can, recruit new customers, and sort of incentivize them or give them a value proposition that they order from us. Because simple सी बात है, देखें अगर आपने घर से आज निकल के जाके खाना लेके आना है versus ordering online is always going to be cheaper. It's as simple as that. आप चाहे बाइक में भी जाओ, it's still a two-way trip.
Yes.
हम आपको one way trip का charge करते हैं. It's as simple as that, right? I mean, it just the math just works.
Yeah.
And if you're a pro subscriber, तो वो भी खत्म हो गया आपका. So it just works. Category development is what everyone's focus is on. And what is that? Online e-commerce penetration in the country, ordering food/groceries online, so quick commerce penetration in the country. How quickly can that develop? And are we outpacing the category development in the country or not? That's the metric we are looking at. So yes, we are outpacing that
So you're
category.
outpacing, in a sense, the growth of e-commerce in
Correct.
Pakistan.
Yes.
E-commerce penetration क्या है पाकिस्तान में?
I don't remember it off the top of my head. It's like in
Less than 10%.
Yeah, it's in the single digits. Our penetration is also similar, obviously, but the growth rates are better.
But of the e-commerce space, let's say there is a total e-commerce GMV of, let's say, 1 rupee. Of that 1 rupee from e-commerce, what is Food Panda's contribution?
So I would say between the larger companies that exist in e-commerce, which is Daraz and Food Panda, we are the two biggest ones.
But they benefit from the higher prices of the electronics that they sell. So उनको GMV
But overall, average order value is not that different.
हाँ ठीक है.
It will be higher slightly, but because वो उनके बहुत सारे छोटे orders भी होते हैं. Not everyone can buy electronics every day. And people are unfortunately for the Daraz, people also now wait for 11/11 to do their big purchases. So it's a chicken and egg for them.
So
it's very good.
11/11 उनका रूह अफ़ज़ा बन गया.
It just peaks, and they had a phenomenal 11/11. I had a discussion with the CEO as well, and he was, it went really well, which is really, really good because that's a sort of like a forward indicator of the economic, hopefully, revitalization of the country as well.
Or it could also say that people have lost complete faith that they've decided to buy only things when they're on sale.
That's true, but then it would have been that's true, but that would have been true if the rest of the year was bad for them.
True.
And from what I know, the rest of the year was also decently good for them.
So you would say that they contribute to what, 30%, 20%?
I think together the two of us combined definitely are more than 50% of the e-commerce industry.
So the e-commerce industry is food and Daraz, basically. And
Daraz also does groceries. So
it does
it's
groceries.
the same.
So of that, how much of your concentration is from food deliveries versus the Mart business? Food is, I'm assuming,
so
80%?
Mart we launched 2020 December.
Okay.
So essentially 2021, 22,
So
and
it was
23, 3 years.
It was a COVID baby.
Yes, it was. So 3 years it's been, and in these 3 years, Mart's contribution is now around 27-28% of our business is coming from groceries,
As I guessed,
which is
30%.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think groceries should be bigger than food
I agree with you.
because it's a necessity. Every single household cooks.
I would subscribe. And not just that, I actually want to take the headache away from ordering the same. Because I eat, literally, my lifestyle is the same. Right? Very little variation. 80% of everyone's lifestyle is the same. Right?
Yeah.
So why do I need to go every month, burn time, stand in lines, order stuff? Why can't I just do subscription, boom, and then you take a pro and just make sure it's delivered to my house?
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yep. That's something we're trying to work on.
So in the US,
but not auto pushed right now. The first thing we're trying to push is more, okay, let's get you to order weekly groceries from us.
So we had that in the US. I remember 10, 12 years ago when I was there in New York, I had Fresh Direct. Time nahi hota tha.
Yeah.
So, both my wife and I were working long, late hours. Every week, the Fresh Direct box used to be sitting in our apartment at the door with the same groceries, and it was something we didn't have to think about.
Correct.
Because we had subscribed, we knew the bill well in advance, and then whatever variables we wanted to pick up, wo raaste mein chalte hue utha lete the. That model will save so much time, and I think that we've not even scratched the surface in that.
No, not at all. And we don't want to get into that today. For example.
You don't want to?
No, not today, because there's still so much growth that we can still do in our core business. Again, there's always a danger of diversifying too quickly
Right.
and too much without really capturing the main vertical that you're operating in.
Which is still the food delivery.
No, I mean,
And
even,
so the
even
mark-
within groceries.
Even
So the fresh / your weekly groceries, which includes your, ande, doodh, dahi, those elements, plus your meat and your vegetables, all of those, and the staples that you have. This is your weekly groceries, right? Abhi usko hum fully penetrate kar le. That's the first. Because initially when we launched as crazy fast deliveries, 20 minutes. We never committed 10 minutes, thankfully. We didn't go that crazy. But 20 minutes was still crazy. So we committed 20. Then we realized, yeah, that's too expensive. It just doesn't make sense. So we stopped saying that. Then we slowly transitioned people we try to transition them towards groceries in general.
Okay.
What is a traditional grocery basket? But from moving to 20 minutes to that, there was a long transition that needed to be done in terms of our team capability, team abilities. The team that we had to change that team as well because mindsets were different. And also the customer perception. Customer was still using us as an impulse category. रात को बैठा हुआ है उसने सिगरेट और बेवरेज मंगवा लिया और साथ चिप्स मंगवा लिए. There was a very normal order post 10 p.m. right? या pre-packaged goods मीठे के मंगवा लिए. Those things. Very geared towards a TG of maybe 16 to 25,
College
who are
student,
up late at night, either
Yeah.
gaming or studying.
Yeah.
Ideally studying, I hope.
Most likely game.
So both transition bahut aayi. So now we to that point where the team's in place. It's a phenomenal team that we have on the store side. We have a very experienced head over there as well. And now we're getting into that. Get weekly groceries ko push kare. Once we get that done and we have it aligned, then we'll move to a scheduled.
Right.
It's too early to do it right now. A lot of our competitors previously have made that mistake. Hence, they're not here anymore. A lot of one name comes into my head, which I'm not going to take, is also doing a similar scenario where they've gone into open up too many verticals on their app. There are too many buttons. The customers need to realize every single button is like a small company at the back end. You cannot use one person to do 3 things. You have to go vertical, you have to go deep. And until you go deep, you should not be transitioning into too many verticals. It just spoils you. And then you lose your eye on the main bread and butter that you have. So groceries it very quickly went up to 30% as well at one point in time. We brought it down to 2021 and now that we've brought it back up. We had to do a cleanup of that.
Interesting. What about the digital wallets, digital banking, this whole space that's developing? Because ultimately, this is the space that will have the greatest impact for you because 55% of you is still cash.
Yeah. So this used to be 9% when I joined January 2020. So in 4 years, we've gone from 9 to 45.
That's
on the weekends, it touches 50.
Okay.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
The banks have been phenomenal partners for us. We've been able to work with a few banks for months upon months, where now people know कि यार ये वाला बैंक है तो weekend पे मैं इधर से order करूँगा using this card, weekday में मैं इस card से order करूँगा because I get a discount there. So we've been very lucky from that perspective. We have our own wallet. It's a closed loop wallet. We don't intend to become an EMI. I think there are enough in the market. We can always use them as rails.
You don't want to be an EMI.
You don't want to be. I mean, today there is no differentiation.
You're sitting on all this cash every day.
Yeah.
You should be an EMI.
But we have our own wallet, right? So this wallet, as a closed loop wallet, there's still so much more that we can do. We will be launching something towards the end of this year, maybe Q3 or Q4, that will help facilitate usage of the wallet more as well.
Would you be open to doing something where you can trade your wallet currency with currency of other, let's say, the Daraz and the Ikeyas and the Kareems or whatever?
So yes, that's something we're exploring. We're exploring.
Does that fall under banking regulation then?
No, so it depends what the configuration of that is. If we need to use, so there are 2 options, right? One, we partner up with the bank, use their
skip the bank.
Banking, core banking, and build on top, or we partner up with a wallet player and use them as our rails and just build on top of that. Those two are there. DRBs are also coming up these days, right? So wo bhi hain. So we're talking to all of them. I know which side I'm leaning on. So we will hopefully close one of them soon, so that by next year we are able to have a more open loop wallet than just a closed loop. But we have a lot of money roaming around in the system, right? That we also hold for a little while. So there's obviously a float that's there. So that's a big benefit for any banking partner, चाहे वो NBFC है, चाहे वो digital है, चाहे wallet है, चाहे bank है.
Do you make more money
to
off
partner
that
with us.
float than you do of core operations?
No. We don't. Because again, it's for a short time that we keep and then we just rotate it around, right? It's 7 days that we hold. But 7 days is the maximum.
But it's a big amount.
But 7 days is the maximum.
Okay.
Right? Any order that comes in on Friday pays out to the restaurant on Tuesday.
Okay.
Friday ko pay out ho jata hai Thursday ko. So wo 2 se 3 din hai essentially the full float that we get. 2 to 3 days is not that big anyway. And again, we don't want to earn on that
Right.
as our, because that doesn't show up on the P&L either. So it just, it doesn't make sense
free
for
money.
us. Yeah, it's free money. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. And so if we have some kids who watch who are in college, what is the core value? This is my last question. What is the core value that you look for, not Food Panda, or maybe it's aligned with Food Panda, that you look for when you recruit someone?
So we've interviewed some phenomenal candidates that were just not a culture fit. We do a so even so if you're hiring a director, for example, right? And the director is someone that reports directly into my position. We do a panel interview with other directors. So they also get a chance to see if this person is a culture fit for us in that group, in the close group that we have, the management team. And the potential new colleague that's coming in also gets an idea of what kind of people we are. Because it's a two-way decision. It's not just us seeing, हाँ यार, Faizan fit होगा कि नहीं होगा. Faizan also needs to see, will I fit in with these people? Do I want to fit in with these people or not? And obviously from ethics and morals, both is a given, right? I mean, I think majority of the companies, I hope, are looking at that as a zero tolerance policy. The next thing that comes in is passion. Are they here to do a job, or are they here because they genuinely believe in this? Like, what's our purpose, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out, if our purpose aligns with your purpose or not. Our purpose is to put food on every individual's table. That's our simple purpose, right? That's what we subscribe to. That's what we're pushing. Every single table in the country should have food. That means a rider that's earning from us is able to put food on their table for himself or herself or their family. The restaurants that we are giving more business to, they're able to support more people. Our colleagues who are earning from us, if we grow, they earn more. If we grow our orders, that means more customers are ordering from us, which means they're also able to put food on the table. That's the core purpose of what we're trying to build. This is not something we can solve today, tomorrow, in 5 years, in 10 years. It's a long-term thing. But that's the passion that then you need to bring in to the table to really succeed in an organization like ours. Because we will push you. We're a direct-to-consumer business. We're available 24/7, which means weekends, Eid pe chutti, like majority of our team cannot take a day off on Eid. I mean, they will be home, yes.
Yeah, because you're running the business.
Yes, and so choti Eid, day 2 and day 3 are the highest ordering days of the year. And things can go back.
Completely wrong.
Right?
Yeah. And so you need to be on standby.
So we're always available. Our director's chat, for example, is the most active post 9 p.m. When we're done with dinner, we're done with kids, it's the most active at that point in time.
Do you guys also use WhatsApp for chat?
WhatsApp, Slack. Slack is for business. WhatsApp is also there. So yeah, it depends on
that's a whole
whose
nother
type of mode
discussion.
So we are the most active over there. Why? Because everyone has bought into that. Be it our director for people, be it our director for public policy, be it our director for operations. वो तो वैसे ही बेचारा हर वक्त on ही होता है. Be it director for marts, वो भी बेचारा हर वक्त on होता है because marts are 24/7. Be it our director for commercial, be it our director for marketing. Every single person owns the business with the passion that when people see in their leaders, then they also bring it within themselves.
Interesting.
So culture fit, passion,
Very
zero
simple.
tolerance.
Technical, you'll teach. It sounds like.
Yeah. Everything else you learn. It's not a problem.
This was great, Muntaqa. Thank you so much for taking the time. I think I asked all the questions that I had in my mind. I had more, but I know you're also pressed for time. I appreciate the candid feedback. Some of the responses you gave me were like extremely candid. My takeaway is Pro is great value for money. Honestly, I will subscribe. I don't know if I'll order more often, but you've already told me that I'll have everything for free. And you know, my other takeaway was everything is not perfect, right? It's a process and you learn. And you know, so the keyboard warriors have to understand that, you know. So I appreciate all the feedback. Best of luck on this venture and on this journey, and hopefully we can double the e-commerce space in Pakistan in the next few years. And thank you all for tuning in to Digitales. Stay tuned for more episodes next week. Please like, subscribe, and comment. I try to respond to your comments as much as I can, so keep them coming. Bye bye.